Part 3. Days passed, and as ill luck would have it, Algu Chaudhary found himself in a tight spot. After a few days, bad luck, kind of ill luck you can say, kept over Algu Chaudhary, and he found himself in a tight spot. Tight spot means in a difficult situation. Some situation came to Algu Chaudhary, and he was in a difficult situation that he did not know what to do. So let us read what happened. One of his fine pair of bullocks died, and he sold the other to Samju Sahu, a cart driver of the village. Algu Chaudhary got into a difficult situation, and what was it? His best of the bullocks, one of the best pair of the bullock had died, and he sold the other to Samju Sahu. One of the bullocks died, who was the best, best amongst the pair, it died, and the other one he sold to Samju Sahu, who was a cart driver, a bullock cart driver in the village. The understanding was that Sahu would pay the price of the bullock in a month's time. So what deal happened? They decided that Samju Sahu will pay the price of the bullock within a month's time. It so happened that the bullock died within a month. But what happened? That the bullock which Samju Sahu had, it died in a month. Several months after the bullock's death, Algu reminded Sahu of the money he hadn't paid yet. What happened then? After many months, after the bullock had died, Algu Chaudhary, he met Samju Sahu, and he reminded him that Sahu has not paid the amount which was fixed for the bullock. Sahu got very annoyed. He got really pissed. He got really annoyed. I can't pay you a penny for the wretched beast you sold me. He got very frustrated and furious, and he said, why should I pay you? I will not even pay you a penny for the wretched beast you sold me. Wretched beast as in the an animal which is not in a very well condition, which is in a ill health. For the wretched beast you sold me, who was not good. He brought us nothing but ruin. The bullock could not get anything good, could not do anything good to him, to Sahu, but ruined almost everything. I have a bullock, use it for a month and then return it to me. No money for the dead bullock, he said angrily. He said, I will not be giving you any kind of money for that dead bullock. However, what I can do is, I have a bullock, you can use it for a month and then you can return it to me. Algu decided to refer the case to the Panchayat. Algu thought that this is a matter which should be taken to the Panchayat. So he went to the Panchayat for the decision for this case. For a second time in a few months, preparations for holding the Panchayat were made, and both the parties started meeting people seeking their support. So now what happened? Sahu and Algu, they both started meeting the villagers, the folks of the village, and started explaining their troubles and problems, whatever they both have faced. And they tried to get more people in their support. The Panchayat was held under the old banyan tree. The same old banyan tree, the Panchayat held under it. Algu stood up and said, the voice of the Panch is the voice of God. Algu said the same thing which the old lady had said the previous time. The voice of the Panch is the voice of God. Whatever decision the Panch will take, it will be final. Let Sahu nominate the head Panch. I will abide by his decision. So he said, let Samju Sahu decide who should be the head Panch, and whoever he decides on, I will agree to his decision.
Sahu saw his chance and proposed the name of Jumman. Now, what happened? Sahu, he thought that now this is the opportunity. So he proposed the name of Jumman. What is the meaning of proposed? Proposed means to suggest someone's name for a particular work or task. So he suggested Juman's name. Algu's heart sank and he turned pale. But what could he do? Now, because Juman's name was suggested, so Algu's heart sank and he turned pale. What is the meaning of turned pale? It means to lose color because of shock. So he felt, he felt a kind of shock. He felt very sad because Juman's name was proposed. But he could not do anything because that was the rule of the Panchayat. The moment Juman became head punch, he realized his responsibility as judge and the dignity of his office. The moment Juman took that position, he understood how responsible the position of the punch is. He understood the dignity of his office. What is the meaning of dignity? It means honor or reputation. He understood how important that position is, how important or how responsible that position is. Could he, seated in that high place, have his revenge now? Then he kind of asked himself, he thought that if now that he is seated in that position, he has taken the position of the punch, can he take his revenge now? Can he take, can he do what he wanted to do actually? He thought and thought. He kept on thinking about it. No, he must not allow his personal feelings to come in the way of speaking the truth and doing justice. Then he got the answer by himself that this is not the right time or not the right position to allow his personal feelings to come in the way. Instead, he should speak the truth and stand with the truth. He should do justice because he was sitting at a position which is responsible. Sitting at the position of punch, he cannot do injustice to whatever the truth was. He cannot do injustice to the other person. Both Algu and Sahu stated their cases, which means both of them, they told their stories, their side of stories. They were cross-examined and the case was considered deeply, which means both of them were cross-examined. That is, they both were listened carefully. Whatever their stories were, they were heard properly, very carefully and cautiously, and the case was considered deeply, which again means their stories, their part was heard very cautiously. Then Juman stood up and announced, "It is our opinion that Sahu should pay Algu the price of bullock." After listening to both of the parties, both of the stories, Juman stood up and then he announced to the public. What did he say? "It is our opinion that Sahu should pay Algu the price of the bullock." And then he announced that the Panchayat thinks that Sahu, he should pay the amount of the bullock to Algu. When Sahu bought the bullock, it suffered from no disability or disease. And then he said, when Sahu had bought the bullock from Algu, that time bullock had no kind of disease. Disability means it is the state of being unable to use a part of your body properly, usually because of some injury or disease. So he explained that when Sahu had bought the bullock from Algu, the bullock was perfect in condition, in health. It did not suffer from any kind of disability or disease. The death of the bullock was unfortunate, but Algu cannot be blamed for it. Further, Juman said that the death of bullock was unfortunate. That was not supposed to happen. But now that has happened, Algu should not be blamed for it because when he had sold the bullock, that time the bullock was perfect in condition. Algu could not contain his feelings. He stood up and said loudly over and over again, "Victory to the Panchayat! This is justice. God lives in the voice of the punch." Algu was not expecting this kind of a decision because somehow he felt that Juman will take the revenge. But exactly the opposite thing happened. Juman said that Algu cannot be blamed for the death of the bullock. Algu was so happy. He was so excited with the announcement which Juman made, and that he could not contain his feelings. That means he was so happy. He stood up, he got up, and very loudly and loudly he said, over and over again, repeatedly he said, "Victory to the Panchayat. This is justice. God lives in the voice of the Panch." He was so happy that he said, now this is the right decision. Whatever God's voice is, it is exactly the Panch's voice. Whatever the Panch said, it is exactly justice. It is exactly the voice of the God. And victory to the Panchayat. But the Panchayat is victorious.
Soon after, Juman came to Algu, embraced him as in hugged him. And said, "Since the last Panchayat, I had become your enemy. Today I realized what it meant to be a Panch." So Juman, after the Panchayat finished, Juman came to Algu and hugged him and said, "After the last Panchayat, you became my enemy. But today, now when I was sitting at that particular position of Panch, I realized how important it was to take the decision in a right manner, how to do justice, how you cannot be biased towards a person. A Panch has no friend nor enemy. A Panch doesn't have any friends or enemy because he has to take a decision which is complete justice. He knows only justice. Let no one deviate from the path of justice and truth of friendship or enmity." He said, let no one deviate from the path of justice and truth for friendship or enmity. Deviate means move away from or leave. He said, no one must or no one should leave the path of justice and truth just for friendship or enmity. That means nobody should be biased while taking a decision just because the person who is presenting the case is a friend or an enemy. Algu embraced his friend and wept. Algu embraced Juman back and he wept. And his tears washed away all the dirt of misunderstanding between them. As Algu cried, his tears washed away all the misunderstandings they both had. As in, everything was sorted between them and they were back to the old good friends they were. This is a story by Prem Chand. Prem Chand is a very, very famous author. He has written many novels, many good stories. Being an Indian, I would say we all must read Prem Chand. Prem Chand has written the novels which are fictitious, but comes with a great moral. So we all must read novels or stories by Munshi Prem Chand.